little too beefy for a Game Boy Color. So you're just gonna show up and go live, huh? We're behind schedule. Just whack. Let's go.
Yep, let's run.
So.
Hit the ground running.
So we're gonna talk about infrastructure today. How cool is that?
The failures of American infrastructure.
Right. Like, it doesn't seem like you've got a storm there. So.
Oh, we don't. I don't know what it was, but we just lost it for like a second. I heard things pop, and then like the light started coming back on immediately. So it was just enough to ruin the internet connection.
Right.
I don't even know if the stove clock is going to need to be fixed now.
It was that short.
It was extremely short.
Funny litmus test for how brief was your internet outage? Did I have to fix the stove clock? So.
Yeah.
So, what are we gonna? We're just talking freeform today, so this ought to be exciting. Should take us about 20 minutes to get a topic,
and then have to stop
that isn't
halfway.
One of the top 3. Yeah. So, what have you been watching lately, Director?
YouTube videos.
Cats, funny. Documentaries.
Tasting history. A dude that does like historical things and cooking at the same time. It's like a fun mix of niches of baking and not baking and history.
Baking and being a nerd. So
yeah.
You gotta find some recipes that you can use that mortar and pestle on. So
yes. And now I have more things to do with it. I've bought long pepper and grains of paradise, and both of them are going to need to go into the mortar and pestle as soon as I ever use them, which I forgot what I'm supposed to use them for.
Nice.
But
I mean, you could just get out, right? You could just get out in front of it. You could just grind all that shit up and put it in random jars and label it. And then like in the next couple of months, you'll look more and more like a witch, right? Because you just got random like ingredients that you've ground everywhere.
I am very tempted to just kind of make the kitchen look like an apothecary.
Yeah, sounds great. I should get one for me, for the wife. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I can do the grinding, but I'm sort of helping out with the cooking now, but it's all still simple stuff. Last night was chicken quesadillas, so hooray.
Mexican food is very easy. Like, it's like I already have all the stuff, and then I just throw it all in something, and that it's done.
Right. Yeah, it helps that we had already minced some chicken that we didn't use all of it. So it was just like, yeah, we'll just throw that in with cheese and tortillas and watch out, dinner. Right. So, yep. Watching anything, Andreas?
I watched like 6 episodes just a day of this thing that Netflix randomly recommended me, which was kind of a waste of time, but okay at the same time.
You made it 6 episodes in before you decided it was a waste of time?
No, it was 6 episodes. I watched the whole thing. It was like a miniseries.
Okay. What was it?
Anatomy of a Scandal, like a UK-British political drama.
Okay, so you're not like a crime thriller, or it was the wrong kind of crime?
I'm like, on crime thriller. Sometimes they get me, but more political dramas they get me. And it was a little more... It was pretty much political drama, but it was just a little... Not as well executed as I had hoped.
Yeah.
So it was okay. I finished it. I was more like hyped. I really liked that documentary I watched the other day about the first manned mission to be launched from American soil since the moon launch, or however, like since they shut it down. That's the SpaceX thing. That was pretty cool.
Gotcha.
Yeah, other than that,
just to clarify, there's several differences in there. So, like, first launch since the moon probably would have been somewhere in the 80s, but first launch since they got rid of the space shuttle, that would have been the Crew 2, wasn't it? Or whatever they called it. So
the Dragon demo test for whatever they called the mission.
Yeah. We went back to capsules because they're apparently super aerodynamically efficient. Who would have thought? So
who would have thought? Well, it's because isn't the whole thing with the old space shuttles, like the idea was to be able to land them,
right?
And now they just figured out an even better way to how to land the whole like launcher rocket as well from SpaceX at least.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it could probably take up the whole show, and I'm not necessarily an expert or anything like that, but I mean, yeah, there were a variety of issues and problems, so it wasn't particularly efficient on launch, and then of course it had this propensity for debris to fall off and hit it somewhere on the wings, which may result in spontaneous disassembly. Is the term they like to use.
This was the old space shuttles, or the
like Columbia and yeah. Anyway, Challenger was the other one. I was like, they're both C's. Why can't I remember them? But yeah, Columbia was the big one, obviously, right? So Challenger, not smaller per se, but Columbia was the one that happened on reentry because of the debris. Anyway, but yeah, so I mean, sure, what SpaceX is doing is cool. I just thought it was kind of funny that, despite the advances in technology and obviously the better hardware, like inside the capsule, it's a lot more streamlined when you look at it because it's all digital displays and shit for the most part, that it's retro at the same time, right? Because it's like, oh man, they were right in the 50s. We're just going to launch these, hollow tubes up into space and then land them again. So, but anyway.
Yeah, I think I saw some clip the other day with Elon on, I think it was on Joe Rogan's podcast, where he's like, the reason that the manned mission thing they want to send to the moon or whatever, the one that they eventually want to work on to send to Mars, has like a point to it, is because he had watched The Dictator, where they make a nuclear missile and it's like round, and he's like, make it pointy. And so Elon went to his engineers when they had like, this is what it's going to look like. He's like, make it pointy. And that was literally the reason why it is pointy. That's just so silly.
Yeah.
He's a bit of a meme lord, right? He does some silly things.
I mean, after watching Spaceballs, I had seen a little factoid of, I think there's a plaid setting in the Tesla.
Nice.
He's that much of a nerd.
Interesting. I knew it had its turbo, but do they actually call it plaid or something like that?
I think all of the different speeds, like there's a ludicrous mode just like in there, and then there's a plaid setting. I think, however, they had done it in the order is he put that somewhere in the Tesla too.
Nice.
I mean, if you're going to make a bunch of futuristic gadgets, you might as well have fun with it and name it stupid shit.
Sure. Yeah, where's the flux capacitor? So
soon.
That'll be
not much else. I've been rereading Harry Potter.
Gross.
For the first time in a very long time. Like, I mean, this is what got me into reading. I've read these books as a teenager like 30 times, like a lot of times. So this is like, if I'm re-listening to all of them, I'm almost done now. This is the first time since 18, 19 or something.
So you're listening to them. Is it Stephen Fry?
Yeah.
That's I mean, the other guy's not bad, but Stephen Fry is just phenomenal.
I read all the books in Danish, and then I listened to the last one for the other guy a couple of times when I started switching to audiobooks for the first time. This is the first time I'm listening to Stephen Fry. I think he's really good.
I remember listening to them with his version 9 or 10 years ago, and I had genuinely forgotten that all of those voices were being done by one dude. They were all so very distinct and different from each other. Like, I didn't need a tag of who said what. Like, okay, that's Hagrid, that's Hermione, that's Ron, that's someone else. It was really kind of breathtaking of how good he is at voice acting.
Yeah, I would say he's definitely up there. As I said, to look up the name here, the one I'm the most impressed by. I've listened to quite a bit of audiobooks, but nobody can beat Stephen Pacey. He does Joe Abercrombie's books. That guy can voice act. Like, it's insane. There's like this little detail that I actually didn't notice at first, but I did on a re-listen. Because I heard him talk about it. There's a character that basically has no teeth, right? And when he speaks, like actually says something, he makes it sound like he has no teeth. When he thinks, he makes it sound like he has teeth, and you can actually hear a difference, which I thought was pretty cool. And it's like you can hear every single character sounds unique and different, and they're all very different. And he does accents really well. He's just he's crazy good.
Nice. I'm kind of distracted, so just as an aside, are you not using dark mode when you're browsing the internet? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, you pulled up a tab and it was just like, wham! like
I have dark mode on
you're
my.
very white.
Yeah, I have dark mode on my browser, but I don't have like force white pages to become dark.
Fair enough. Yeah. Yeah, I could really feel the 4K pixels there. So,
like, yeah. Most sites that has like the option, they're automatically dark. But like, say
Right.
Wikipedia.
Yeah, I couldn't handle Wikipedia anymore. I had to get a plugin for that.
Yeah.
So like,
Well,
I have so many tabs with
Google
Wikipedia
has a
open.
flag, but it gets weird. So I actually turned it back to just let it do it dynamically. But yeah, I can't remember what I was on, but there was some page where it was like it was already dark, and so when Google made it dark mode, it was just like black on black, and I'm like, well, that's not working. So got to actually be able to read the text somewhere. So
it's supposedly, I don't remember where I watched this, take it with a grain of salt. It's supposed to be better for you to actually read white background, dark text instead of dark background, white text.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
I don't know if
source
that's
on
actually
that.
true.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's like, oh, maybe it is. And it's like, sure, when I'm reading like a book, either Kindle or physical, whatever, yes, that's fine. But like, if I'm looking at a screen, it needs to be darker. It doesn't need to be white on black, but it
Right.
cannot be that bright white.
I'm just Googling.
especially
It might
with,
be
like-
this. I don't really remember. It's like, while dark mode has a lot of benefits, it may not be better for your eyes. Using dark mode, it's helpful in that it's easier on the eyes in the stark bright white screen. However, using a dark screen will require your pupils to dilate, which can make it harder to focus on the screen.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know if that's true.
Yeah. I mean, because like I was going to say, especially with like OLED screens, right, where it's like black is off, it's like a true black and that sort of thing. It just seems, I mean, there's a lot of different reasons why dark mode is better, in my opinion. You could get into power savings if we want to talk about eyes. You shouldn't be focusing on your screen that long anyway, right? Every 20 minutes, you're supposed to take at least a 20-second break and look at something 20 feet away from you type of stuff. But yeah, I mean, I guess I could kind of see like your eyes would have to focus more or, dilate to read the text. So,
Did
very
any of you
fascinating.
watch Severance?
No.
Not yet. No.
So good.
Yeah, I mean, part of it is the lack of access, right? So,
Yeah.
So, because it's Apple TV, we're already doing the 21st century modern post what's the word, post piracy, but don't worry, it's going back to that type of thing because we're subscribed to like 6 or more fucking channels probably.
That's
like
ridiculous.
give me a break. Yeah. So yeah. And now with Netflix being like, oh, you're watching it on more than 2 screens, it's like, look, Netflix, you've got like more and more diminishing returns. So like this better be helping your bottom line directly. Otherwise you're not going to make it by getting rid of something like that. Right. Like I kind of understand, but at the same time, like, that's one of their differentiators right now. Right. So anyway,
I haven't heard anything about it. Maybe they haven't done anything here. I watch, like, we have a shared Netflix account here at home.
I think they've been trialing it, but so like for us, for example, like we're even just a single household. It's not like we've got a bunch of people, watching different stuff, but we can only have 2 screens for the most part. And, like, so we've got obviously multiple TVs, like most houses in the 21st century, but both of the kids have tablets. So like if we want them to watch their cartoons, they've got different tastes. They can watch their different cartoons. We can watch our show. We've resorted to watching stuff on Hulu or Paramount Plus or whatever, so that they can watch whatever they're watching on Netflix. Because you can only have the 2 accounts now. It's just wild.
I remember that being
not
a tier
spending
thing.
an extra.
Yeah, because you'd have
Right.
to spend extra to be able to get it. 'Cause,
It's
when I
like
had
50%. It's like $5 for an extra screen or something like that. It's like, give me a break, man.
Yeah, because I mean,
So-
when we had Netflix, I mean, we only had 2 people. It's like there's no reasonable reason that we would have 3 screens going, and that's fine. So I kind of had forgotten about it all. But yeah, all the households that have more than 2 screens, it is very reasonable if you're paying for the household to basically have unlimited. But then
Right.
people might be sharing passwords. Oh no.
Right. Yeah. Just
I mean, we only share Netflix at home. I have access to like 5 other streaming services, and I'm only actively participating in Netflix, and I guess the Apple one because my dad's paying for that. The rest is shared with other people.
sure.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what they expect when they split it up this much. What people are gonna is that, or people start pirating?
Oh yeah, people are pirate like very quickly.
Yeah.
So
So
it's actually not one of the ones I have. I don't even know what's on that one.
Star Trek. So yeah, watching
Star Trek.
Discovery and
Isn't
Discovery and
that
Picard.
on
And,
Netflix?
well, maybe overseas it is, but it's owned by Paramount, so it's on Paramount Plus for first world countries. So
Okay, that's rude.
EJ's not here. I had to represent. So
Yes.
I see Discovery's not on Netflix anymore. It was on Netflix. Picard I have on Prime. I'm actually paying for that one myself, but that's for other reasons.
Yeah, it's just because Prime, you already have Prime for other reasons.
The funny thing is,
Right.
we don't have Prime like you have Prime. There's no next day delivery or anything with Prime here.
In third world
Right.
countries?
I live in the
Got
Western
it.
world. Okay, thank you very much. We just
They're
don't.
not in the first world of 2-day
Intelligence
delivery.
invades.
Okay, listen, we just don't have our own Amazon. I have to use the German one. Okay, we're not big enough. We don't have next day because we're not big enough.
Yeah. Slightly retrograde topic, but yeah, I was looking at Apple TV's offerings because it's like there's no way I'm subscribing to yet another thing just for one show, especially like a 9-episode untested because Andrea said so. Sorry, man, that's way too
Come
many
on, man.
bookmarks.
Come on, have
But-
a little faith. It's really good.
But they have Foundation, which looks really good, and
I don't know.
Did you watch it?
I've watched the
Or
first
what?
episode,
Okay.
and there are some things in it that was
the first one's
interesting,
free.
and visually it was very well done. But from what I know of the books, if I haven't read them myself, I don't think they're treating the source material the way they should.
I don't think I've read Foundation, so you might have me there, but of course also a 7-day trial. I could probably make it through 9 episodes and then a separate show, and then
Yeah, binging is a skill that everyone has now developed.
Yeah,
I heard good things
just
about
need to
Ted
not see the
Lasso. I have
kids
not
for a
seen
week,
that one though. The morning show I liked, but that's because it's not something you would like. I think it's like office political kind of drama, high-powered media world.
Yeah, it's like a mini series too, so that's interesting. It's so
But the
pretty looking,
Foundation?
though. Like, yeah, and the cast doesn't look too bad. So
Its Shrink Next Door also looks pretty decent.
yeah,
I mean, the casting certainly makes me want to watch it. It's Ant-Man and what's his name? Will Ferrell? Is that his name?
I mean
The
that is a
comedian?
name for sure. So
Yeah, Will Ferrell.
it really doesn't narrow it down.
Will Ferrell.
So-
Will Ferrell and Ant-Man.
Nice,
Paul Rudd.
right? Good times, good times.
Have you been watching anything, Justin?
Yep, but I'm not allowed to talk about it. So
Oh?
we've been watching Scrubs, and then a thing that I can't talk about because it's one of the big 3. So we'll get in trouble.
Okay.
I've been figuring out how to watch Moon Knight at night with the wife because it's a little intense despite still kind of being in the Marvel side, but we don't necessarily want to have the kids watching it. So, yeah. Anyway, that's the short version. But yeah, we're all caught up and kind of bummed that they keep hanging everything on a cliffhanger, which of course, it's like streaming, right? But then they're only giving it to you weekly. It's super freaking chaotic, and I think it would be really cool if they slowed down just a little bit, just because it's like the main character has schizophrenia or something along those lines, and it makes me feel schizophrenic while I'm watching it because it is really hard to keep up with at times. But yeah. I think it's pretty good overall, and I really like Oscar Isaacs now that I recognize him in everything he's been in, because there were several roles where it was like, if he's got a beard or no beard or his face is slightly different, holy shit, it's a different dude. Like
I really like him.
Yeah.
In everything I've seen him in. I have not seen that show yet because I agreed with some friends. We're just gonna tear a date on the calendar when it's all out and watch it together.
Sure.
So
yeah,
I should watch Boba Fett. So,
yeah, you should do that. So you'll have to get through the first 2 or 3 episodes. There's a lot of Boba Fett in those ones, but then after that, you get the Mandalorian back, and then it gets better. So
yeah, you're just gonna have to watch the episodes of the titular character, suffer through that,
right.
And then you can get to the fun part. It's great sell.
Yeah, like, well, no, I mean. So if you really want to get us on the band topic, like the real problem is that those first couple of episodes, right, you had a lot of new fan types that didn't understand what all the hate was, and they didn't understand why it's a problem that Boba Fett talks. And then the episodes with the Mandalorian came on and were suddenly like 2 or 3 times better. And it's like, that's why everything that you like about Mando came from Boba Fett. They didn't just pull it out of their asshole, right? It's the same themes and memes that you get from, say Halo, where it bugs people that he took his helmet off, or, things like that. Surprisingly, some of those things do matter, and the fans like those things, So that's the thing with Boba Fett. Yes, the most interesting character in that show is not the guy whose name is on the marquee.
I mean, that's fine.
So
the side character can be definitely the most interesting. It's just that the main character, the titular character, should be at least enjoyable or compelling. And it sounds like they dropped it when they were trying to juggle it.
Oh, I'm not even sure they were trying to juggle it. Like, they just, the early episodes just felt like so far afield from what, his background or source could have, would have, should have been. And then the excuse was, what? Boba Fett only had 3 lines in the movies. What are you mad about? Like, well, then why'd you guys go this direction with the Mandalorian? Because you could have gone that direction with Boba Fett, and we would have been happy. It would have been great. I mean, people would have still lampooned it if Boba Fett's toting around a kid. Don't get me wrong, right? Like, he's supposed to be this. Well, let's just call him the second most feared guy in the galaxy, right? He's the guy that lifts off to Darth Vader and lives.
But he did have a kid, right?
No, you're thinking Jango Fett. Same actor.
Okay.
Yeah, same actor, because clones.
Yeah, that's what. Like, wait, but he had a child with him. That was kind of the whole point, right? Because that was Dad. Okay.
Yeah,
it's been a while since I've seen the prequels.
Right, and I mean, don't get me wrong there, right? Like, the prequels shifted already so much that was there too. But I really like the actor that they've got for him now. And I do like that they, despite the fact that it doesn't, in my opinion, make a ton of sense for the character, I'm glad that he's able to bring some of his cultural heritage to the screen a little bit with the gaffy sticks and everything. But, like, he doesn't have to be a goofball. He doesn't have to be a crime lord. And like, my buddy and I were expecting the entire time that Fennec was going to, like, stab him in the back, because Fennec's the one with, like, teeth and chops in the show. So anyway, but yeah, I don't know, like, by the time we get to the final episode, it looks, it's pretty good. And I feel like it's a necessary middle chapter into setting up Mandalorian season 3. Is that 3. What we're doing? So yeah. So, but yeah, the parts with Boba Fett could have been better, right? Especially since it's his name on the show, it's just like, but
yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I really want to watch Discovery, because people say it becomes not as shit when they like I halfway through season 2 with the whole Angel thing. We talked about that before. Like I was just like, I just can't be bothered anymore.
Yeah,
but I heard it gets good.
Season 1 gets good when they finally get halfway through and they start actually doing some of the mirror stuff, right? Which is classic Star Trek, and that had an interesting take. And it's okay that it's not your daddy's Star Trek at that point because it's different, right? Season 2 was just very weird and not amazingly compelling, but what they kind of hit on in season 2 that they've carried over, in my opinion anyways, is that each season now they're going to have a big mystery. But the problem is it's going to be like a universe-ending mystery, right? It can't be like a whodunit. It's going to be like in season 2, if we don't figure this out, all of space and time gets blown up. Or I think they get eaten by robots in the galaxy, but not the Borg. That would be different. And then in season 3, you've got warp travel is no more. Who done it? And then you get to the end and it's stupid. All right, let's just be real. It's stupid. Okay. And
season 3 also stupid?
Season 3. So season 3's overall story arc is stupid, but the B plot is not, it's not like the best thing ever, but the B plot is pretty good. And it's got Oded Fehr in it. As an admiral. And he fucking carries the show. I'm sorry, man. I like the cast of Discovery, don't get me wrong, but like I love him, right? Like there's a difference. Like and he gets better. Underrated. He gets better in season 4, right? And so what to give you a little bit of a tease for season 3. So like a lot of the episode to episode stuff for season 3 is that they're rebuilding the Federation because it's really hard to have this galactic spanning government when you can't communicate or travel to your member races, right? So they start splintering and fracturing. And so you get some compelling, interesting stuff. They kind of harken back to some of the older stuff a little bit just because, you know, that's what they're trying to do. But what they finally do is because of the way that season 2 transitions into 3, they finally take Discovery in the direction they should have in the first place, right? So even though it's not like perfect and it's not fantastic, it is way better than the first 2 seasons, in my opinion, for a lot of reasons. Right. They start chipping away at some of the problems. And then season 4 is even better than that. Like season 4, the main complaint that I can think of right now is that they've got the galactic spanning threat again, right? Even though they just, you know, fixed what the problem was in season 3 and things are starting to get back on their feet. They have a new galactic threat, but it's a lot better. And that's it. I mean, that's literally the main complaint. They've got, you know, world building, you know, universe building types of stuff. They actually solve problems in Star Trek-y ways. They don't just show up and wave a lightsaber at the problem and things go away, or, you know, whatever. There's a blend of, you know, science, or at least, you know, quasi-science, because it's like, you know, 1,000 years in the future, that sort of thing. And yeah, it's really good, you know, like, yeah, anyway.
If I really liked all of the Next Generation movies, and I love Voyager, and I somewhat like Next Generation.
Okay.
Yeah, the Next Generation movies. I liked all of those. Just clarifying.
Even Generations. You liked Generations.
Which one was that? That was the
Kirk. It's got Kirk and Picard.
Oh, that one, the transition one.
Okay. Just I'm trying to get into your headspace.
Yeah.
You know. 4 is really good, dude. It for a lot of reasons. Like, you know, maybe if you don't like some tender moments in Kumbaya or something like that, then you can get it. Like that could be a problem, maybe. But you know, like if you're not very inclusive, then you know there's definitely like a tertiary plot around, you know, gay and, for other lack of term, like transgenderish kinds of ambiguous families and that sort of thing. So if that just like sets your blood on fire, then don't watch it, right? Okay. You know, because there's certainly some representation there. But yeah, like the overall story and shit, I really liked season 4. So.
I think my problem with why I also haven't watched the Picard show yet is I think for Star Trek, I don't mind like gritty shows stuff, but for Star Trek, Voyager was like about as gritty as I would like my Star Trek. Like it gets a little bit more. They're more like out and like they don't have the Federation
DS9?
and no.
Okay, yeah, cool. Anyway, continue. Fix that,
So
but continue.
Yeah, I don't want to watch it. I tried. It's not good.
How tried did you? Like you watched the first episode and it sucked?
Like 2 episodes or something.
No, yeah. Continue. If you want, I'll cherry pick some examples like that I think you might be able to get into without, necessarily needing like a huge amount of background if you want.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll have to do some research. I don't have like a ready template like I do for Doctor Who, right? Where I can say like, if you're not sure if you're going to like Doctor Who, here are 2 of the best episodes that unfortunately are going to set a really high standard. And then, you're going to have to figure it out from there.
I had a friend who tried to get me into Who and showed me like 2 different episodes. I don't remember one of them anymore, right. But the other one was Day of the Doctor or whatever it was, where you get to meet like all the doctors.
But you can't. I don't think you can just start with that one. So,
and I did try the first episodes of the new era, the guy in the leather jacket, and I was just like, "This is not. I mean, it's not bad, but I'm not really interested."
Right. Okay. Yeah. So one of the ones that comes to mind, and I'll have to watch it a little bit more, or either rewatch it or go through a synopsis or something. But watching an episode called The Jem'Hadar might be a good primer for DS9. You may miss some background, but it kind of kicks off. So parallels, right? Grave Peril starts the Vampire War in Harry Dresden. The Jem'Hadar is more or less the tip of the spear for the Dominion War, which is kind of like overarching for most of the rest of DS9, right?
Was DS9 was running simultaneously with Voyager?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
so
I haven't picked up on it, I guess. Was there much crossover between those two? I think there was some crossover with Next Generation with those Laws of Acquisition guys. They were Next Generation too, from what I think.
Yeah, so there's definitely some crossover. See, she's yawning, so we're on the right topic right now. But there's definitely some crossover. But like, if you saw like the first 2 episodes, then that's almost as much crossover as you're going to get out of TNG. Other than maybe you've got some bad guys crop up here and there, or some reference history, right? Because Picard is literally there helping Sisko get on his feet, right? You also have that same kind of thing with Voyager, because I forget exactly, I'd have to look up the dates and whatever, but like, I think DS9 gets a little established and then Voyager has like a couple of episodes, but then they do kind of run, semi-parallel, but because Voyager's off in the Delta Quadrant, you don't get a ton. Like you might get the occasional name drop, or in Voyager more so, I think you hear about like, oh, this is what's going on back home or something. But yeah, they don't overlap in any kind of story way, for the most part. But yeah, so because the DS9 also deals mostly with the Gamma Quadrant, which is that way instead of north aligned maps and whatever. But the Delta Quadrant and Gamma Quadrant are adjacent, but Voyagers go in the wrong direction really to be relevant. And the Delta Quadrant's where the Borg are, obviously. Whereas the Dominion apparently took over the Gamma Quadrant. So anyway, but yeah, so the Jem'Hadar,
the Federation's in the Alpha Quadrant.
Yeah, Alpha and Beta. It's because I think the Federation's in the Alpha Quadrant. If I remember right, the Klingon Empire might span the 2 a little bit, and then I think the Romulans are in the Beta Quadrant. It's been a while since I've looked at a star chart, and it doesn't matter anymore because that's old canon, but whatever. So
there's the what's it called, legends and canon in Star Trek?
Yeah,
Or...
not in Star Trek. They just there's what Abrams shit on, and then there's everybody else, and then
but
each
Abrams
show
is separate timeline, right? So
I mean, ish, right? He's like, no, it's totally the prime. It's totally the prime universe because time travel shenanigans, and Discovery is totally the prime universe, except that nobody has ever heard of the mycelial network except for the crew of Discovery, because that's how giant scientific spanning empires work. They just only one ship knows about this technology, and it's classified everywhere else. Whatever. Picard still kind of like falls in line, but I have
there's
different
that
problems
guy
with
going
Picard,
kind of grim and darky, and the Federation's all corrupt and shit.
I don't think it takes it that far with the Federation being corrupt, but it's definitely being infiltrated in several different places, especially in season 1. Season 2, it's only like 3 or 4 episodes in and is very different, but
okay.
I feel like Picard is like, we're going to take all of the stuff from Next Gen, we're going to fast forward it into the future, but we're going to make it all existential and cerebral and some other stuff like that. So they ask some really big sweeping what if questions, which is okay, but it's not necessarily what I'm there to watch Star Trek for. Like I don't need some galactic spanning problem that only Picard can save, like can stop and save us, right? But that's kind of what it turns into. And it's the same thing with Discovery. Discovery is the only ship in the fleet. We got thousands of ships. We got them all over the galaxy, but only Discovery can save us. And in a weird way, like, Next Gen did that somewhat, I guess. You could make that argument but they were the flagship, so it kind of made sense. Whereas like in the original series, the only thing special about the Enterprise was like the crew, right? Like Kirk did these things because he was Kirk, right? But they were like a ship off on their own, right? So there was no help. There's nobody coming to save them. They could stop it or whatever, but like they would come up and be like, oh shit, there was another Constitution class ship here, which is wild because there's only a couple hundred of us and space is really fucking big, And so like, I don't know, it just struck a different feel, but I don't like, other than maybe the Doomsday Machine or something, right? You didn't have like, man, if Kirk doesn't stop this, there goes the whole galaxy. Like I didn't get that feel from it, right? They were exploring, they had their problems, sure, but it's definitely turned into like, so I love Patrick Stewart, but he's like 70, 80 years old now. So it's a really hard sell when it's like he's got this cast that are in their 20s and 30s, but only Patrick Stewart can save us. And it's just like, no, not really, but okay. And that's what I feel Picard has turned into, right? And I love the younger cast. Like they even brought Jerry Ryan back to Star Trek, which I didn't think was ever going to happen. But
7 of 9.
So there's a selling point, right? Yeah. There's your Voyager tie-in. But I like what they did with her character. Like I've always liked the rangery types of characters anyway. But that's what they definitely kind of turned her into. Whereas she's like in the gray area of the law, as far as where it is and whatnot. But yeah, anyway,
cool.
There's we covered 2 of the band topics. Somebody give me something else to talk about. So
what do you want to talk about, Alex? What's going on with you?
Unfortunately, not much.
Well, has been playing any new games lately since you mostly just watch?
So Elden Ring for a few weeks, and then recently he's gotten into EU4 again. And that's since I played Crusader Kings 2, I kind of know how EU4 is supposed to work, but it's so
Which
many
game?
Europa Universalis 4. It's another one of the Paradox games of CK2. I've never played CK3. Colin can tell me about it, but I'm presuming it's going to be shit for several years until they fix any of the issues and balance things, and so I'm going to ignore it for a long time. But like CK2 is a lot of fun. EU4 had been in a broken state, he said, for a while, but they might have fixed enough of it that he bought a bunch of the expansions and he's playing that again. There's so many menus
I know.
So many menus.
My roommate loves Paradox games, and I'm so bored whenever he tries to get me into them. Like, I'm
It can
so
be
bored.
really interesting, and like the amount of intricacy of like if you do this thing and how it affects everything else, I find that fascinating. It's just the learning curve is so steep, and I am familiar with their games because I played Stellaris, I played CK2, but like, what's that menu and what does that do? What does that mean? How does that affect everything else? It's insane.
My roommate loves CK3. I don't know. You should give that a go next time it's on sale or something.
Maybe I just have a pessimistic thing of any of their new games is probably going to be broken for a
Well,
while.
it's been out for over a year now, almost
Right,
two,
and so
I think.
it's probably going to function. What I mean by broken is that the AI is probably going to need to be balanced. Their AI is a problem in many of their games. Like Stellaris, I stopped playing it because last I knew, the especially a hive mind type of AI, it would just like destroy everything. It was becoming predictable. It wasn't functioning in the way that it should. In CK2, for example, if the AI would basically just be hyper promiscuous to the point that it no longer makes sense.
So for those not following you at home, define hyper promiscuous in this case.
Right. So in CK2, you're playing as a dynasty of a person. You have a character that you're following basically as the ruler like dies or gets coordinated and everything like that. You're following that family, that ruler for a thing throughout time. And therefore, interpersonal situations matter. You can have multiple wives depending on your culture. You can have concubines, you can have bastards, you can have things. You can also have a promiscuous wife that's going to have a bunch of bastards and cause a bunch of issues. And you can have a celibate pope that has a bunch of bastards because the AI became turbo promiscuous and is just trying to like do this thing that gets more interaction in a way or more power. And it's like, so it was breaking its own rules for a long time until they had to balance it.
So in this case, the celibate pope was supposed to actually be celibate instead of like how it worked in the real world, where he was celibate.
Right. So part of
it sounds true to life.
Is a trait that a character can have. Like your characters can have a bunch of traits of like it could be physical of like they're giant, they have a club foot, they have really skilled things that they've learned, or they can be virtuous, they can be evil, and they can have the trait of fertile or celibate or anything like that. But just like you can have a character that has a bunch of traits that means that they shouldn't be trying to sleep with everyone's wife and shouldn't be like fucking around in general, and yet they will because the AI got broken and just like constantly trying to do that, constantly trying to turn into a harem. And that was a problem for a long time.
Gotcha. Good times. Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was like, the actual promiscuous or there was something else that like they're making alliances with everybody or something, but they are making alliances with everybody, if you know what I mean. So good times.
Yeah. CK2 is fun. And like, now that it's basically done and then there's no longer any, probably not going to be any more expansions. I mean, now that they have CK3, you can probably get all of it on sale on Steam for maybe $200. The amount of expansions on it there's a lot of like, because there's the base game and then there's like 10, 15 years of like, get this thing for $20, that thing for $20. And if you're keeping up with it on time, it's not a problem. But when you're just going to buy it off the bat, like that is a lot. I don't actually know how much it would be because it's probably going to be heavily on sale of like 60, 80% off. And then there's a lot of menus to learn.
Right. Yeah.
There is a lot of menus in all those games. Like I was playing Stellaris with my friends, he was trying to get me into it, and I was like, my economy was not going great. It's like, okay, let me just go. He came in my room and he like helped me. Like, okay, let me just. Then he started opening up. I was like, there's menus I haven't even seen here. You're opening right now, going into buildings, inside buildings, and I was like, man, fuck this.
Right.
Yeah, that's the way I feel looking at EU4 of like, there was a certain level of like, I felt competent of the menus out of CK2, but the depth just kind of like, there's a lot more depth out of EU4 of like, there's this menu and there's a lot of different things like you can highlight over and read it. And like, I didn't realize that was a button instead of just telling you that you could look at something. And when you open the button, there's a completely new menu, and then there's like this giant screen. And then there's a question of like, how did I go back to the menu I was just looking at? Because that was interesting, and I want to look at it more, and I don't remember how to get there.
Harsh.
Oh. Ooh, I'm going to the movies on Monday. Crossing fingers it won't be completely shit. The new Harry Potter movie, because the first one was meh. The second one was really bad, but
the third one stood strong. So
I've heard better things. Just like browsing around Reddit random comments and such. Also, it has Mads Mikkelsen as Grindelwald, which I thought was like. I mean, I'm sad about how Johnny Depp got replaced in that because that wasn't really fair. But goddamn, does Mads Mikkelsen fit what I thought about Grindelwald so much better in looks and charisma and like presence, I guess, than what Johnny Depp was portraying on screen. So I'm kind of interested in watching that.
Go ahead, director. You look like you're angry. You want to say something?
No, I have no opinion on any of these movies.
Is Ezra still in this one because he went crazy after this one was filmed, or?
Yeah, he's that's the Flash, right?
Right.
Yeah, he's still in this one. He's gone crazy.
Oh yeah, have you not been following the news? Like he's apparently been on like a tear in Hawaii. So
no, I haven't. Like, I mean, everything on the news here is Ukraine, Russia, local politics, Ukraine, Russia.
Right. Yeah, which is there too. But yeah, I'm sure the movie subreddit has a bunch of that drama. But apparently, for the last couple of years, he's been like in a spiral. So, and it looks like Warner Brothers is like finally cutting him off. But
okay,
we're curious how that's going to affect Flashpoint because, I mean, it's obviously not out yet. But like, do they just scrap it and refilm it? Like, what are they going to do?
If they're done, no, they're going to release it. And the next one, it's going to be like, oh, I run really fast, random time thing. Oh, look, I look different.
Right. The more different Flash in the Flashpoint. So,
yeah.
Yep.
It's like, I haven't watched that Flash show much. Just like, I think I watched random clips on YouTube. But it's like, I think a lot of it is like, I'm Flash, the fastest man alive. Oh, look, another villain faster than me.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. Each season has one of those. Yeah, it's pretty hilarious because they deal with Reverse Flash and then they deal with Zoom. And I mean, I stopped watching somewhere around season 4, I think. But
you watched that far?
Yeah. Hold it.
I mean, so for a little while, like they had them all hooked in and it was something to watch. And I'm a nerd, so I do like, my superheroes, if you haven't noticed. So,
Same.
And watching The Flash was kind of interesting because, like, so the Arrow was like, well, we can't afford Batman, so we're going to give you the Arrow instead, right? Because we haven't done any movies around the Arrow, and there's no multimedia like outside the cartoons, comics, whatever, right? So it was like new to live action kind of, and the first at least 2 seasons was really cool because he was very Batman-y, right? With a little bit of Robin Hood and a little bit of a taste for human blood, I guess. I don't know. So then they added the Flash, and with the Flash, they kind of did what Guardians of the Galaxy did, where they started making it a little gonzo, right? So like very early on, you deal with what's the gorilla's name? Anyway, so like there's a human level or greater intellect gorilla who is like one of the Flash's main villains because reasons, and like he's kind of like his Lex Luthor because being smart is a superpower in the DC universe. They're not all just big punchy guys, but so you Grodd.
Grodd.
Yeah,
I was saying Grodd. That sounds right.
So anyway, so you have some of that with the Flash, and the Flash kind of introduces like, it's quantum, right? Everything's quantum, so therefore it's magic, and they expand it, and then you get like the what's the League of whatever. It's obviously been a few years since I watched it, and they pull out some like secondary and tertiary characters from these shows, and they make another show, and they're hopping around time trying to fix shit and whatever. So there were all these.
Arrowverse becomes like a whole thing, right? Then they did a whole timeline sequence of events. I haven't really watched much of it because like it was like I think I watched the first season of Arrow. Then I watched the first episode of second season when that came out. And I was sitting there when I was halfway through. I was like, "What am I doing? This is I don't want to."
Yeah.
And then I just didn't watch the Arrowverse.
Yeah, in hindsight, that's where I'm at. Like Arrow around season 4, I think, is where you start getting this whole thing with one of the side characters that's like, she's very pretty, but she was supposed to be the super genius computer nerd, right? So it was never going to work out. And then it starts to work out, and then there's more drama, and it's just like, okay, yeah, I'm not watching this because of the soap opera stuff. I was watching this because superheroes, right? Like, I don't need Batman to have a thing with Selena Kyle so that I'm interested in the story, right? That's not why I'm here, but what ifs.
Oh,
so
I will say, of all the Arrowverse stuff, as I understand it, the new show with Superman, Lois, he's retired, they have kids, actually looks decent. The clips I've seen, and I'm interested in watching that.
Yeah.
But I think it's Arrowverse still.
Which should be interesting because that was the thing when I forget which other station started with it, but they had Supergirl for like 2 seasons and then they were going to cancel it. And CW's like, come on, we're practically the same universe anyway. And they were like, you are never allowed to use Superman. So now that they're doing like a Superman show is kind of interesting, but
yeah.
Yep.
The best Superman show will always be Lois and Clark.
Okay.
The one from the 90s. I love that show.
Yeah. Wait, I think I watched the hell out of Lois and Clark, but I didn't do Smallville, right? So, yeah, because I think at the time I was like, how dare they, but it's also been like 20 years since I've seen Lois and Clark, probably. So,
yeah.
Why is Superman able to have kids with Lois?
Because it's fiction and they can do whatever they want.
There's something questionable about aliens, though.
Which theory do you want? Do you want the fact that he's just like something completely different and the fact that he came to Earth is a total fluke? Or do you want the story where his dad was here and, those Earthlings are kind of like us anyway. And so maybe those, those differences are only skin deep or something. I don't know. But like there this whole thing with like the Snyderverse thing, and maybe it's established in the comics that I haven't read, but like the reason why he gets sent to Earth wasn't like a fluke, which is the way that I understood it initially, right? Like it was just happenstance that he happened to crash on Earth in Missouri or Kentucky or wherever the hell.
It was Kansas.
Kansas. There you go. Whatever.
He's just a Kansas boy.
I'm not plugged into DC right now, apparently. But yeah, but apparently like there's this whole thing about how like, well, obviously dad was here before and obviously he's been studying humanity and he was sent here with a purpose. And that was not the original origin that I got out of it. So, I don't know about that, but so I think the suggestion is that, Kryptonians and Earthlings are not so different as you would think. But,
and yet all of the things that make Superman not human, like all of his abilities, like he's a fucking alien, right? It seems.
Yes.
Someone should be studying him if he's actually able to have children.
Man,
with
do you want stupid, sexy Superman or don't you? Because that's what we're getting. So.
Well, probably not, considering I don't watch any of this shit. Like,
I think the way it works in this new show, it's like his kids. One's completely normal, human. The other one has superpowers sometimes. I think that's like how they have done it.
That's funny. Oh God, why am I looking at Lois and Clark? Thank you very much, Andreas. So, yeah,
no problem, dude.
So right there, right next to DS9 and all of that stuff. So
she was like I can't remember her name, the one that plays Lois. That was my teenage crush.
I've got it here, Terry Hatcher. So
yeah,
yeah. Terry. I mean, one of many, I'm sure, but So.
Oh yeah. The girls from Charmed. I was in love. Oh, that's a blast one. Have you seen the Charmed remake show?
No.
Considering I only heard of it at one point, probably when it premiered, and then never heard of it ever again, probably means it was horrible.
I liked the original charm for all its faults that it had, and it had a lot.
It had a lot.
But this new show, no, thank you. I tried 4 episodes on the game,
and I was all the problems with it.
I got nothing. Okay. I'm looking at the Superman homepage now, trying to figure out the show and who's in it and whatever, and if I give a crap. And so far, I don't. So I figured I should focus. Yeah. For the next whole 5 minutes. So, yeah. Can't wait for the year of Star Wars to finally kick off, though. That's for sure. So.
Oh yeah, there's like a ton of shows coming next year's.
I thought it was supposed to be this year, but yeah, I'm getting the feeling that it's at least going to start late this year. So, because you got the show with Cash In, and apparently they're doing a Lando show, and just on and on and on. So, Calrissian.
I know who Lando is. I just like, why the fuck?
Lando Calrissian, dude.
What do you mean, why the fuck?
Why? Why do they?
Because they've had 40 years of material they don't know what to do with. So now they've got to start coming up with all this canon, so. And they've got to remind you every single day that the Solo movie is canon. So they're going to bring in Lando Calrissian which was like one of the better parts of that movie, I guess, to tell you.
Is it going to be Donald Glover or?
Yeah.
I mean,
at least from the poster that I saw, it was. So
why do they have to keep milking it? It's just like, why can't they just let things be? This is why I decided to stop caring about Star Wars.
Right, like you ever cared that much? Come on now.
I remember being excited for the new movies for The Force Awakens, and then I was driving home from that movie and just like, the fuck just happened? Why did I pay for that?
Right.
And that's when I decided never to try to care about any of it again, because if it was just going to be a rehash, if it was going to be that bad, then no thank you.
Oh, come on. We got to have Kenobi now, which looks like it's going to be great, except that he's got to fight Vader for some reason. So
it does look, that's the only stupid thing, but it does look really good. That trailer, I mean, whoo, baby, got me going. Yeah. That made me excited.
It took me like 4 years to ever watch Rogue One, and only because I had felt confident there wasn't going to be a Rogue 2, and then it made me happy that everyone died at the end, because there couldn't be a Rogue 2.
We're pretty sure, so because everybody's dead, but that doesn't preclude prequels for since that's apparently Star Wars's thing. What if we made a good movie and then we accidentally killed everybody? So now we're going to go back in time to make more good movies or shows in this case.
Yeah.
Not all of them are they're going to do the Acolyte thing. That's probably taking place in the past, right? That's supposed to be like the High Republic sometime. What's the other one? I don't know where Lando's going to take place, if it's before or after. It'd be kind of funny if it was before, because whatever, but Ahsoka is going to be after, I think. It'd be super great to have a live action Thrawn finally, and Ahsoka actually deal with that, but I guess we'll see how many hyperspace whales they can plug into it instead. So,
do love me some hyperspace whales.
Yeah, you would.
I haven't even gotten there. I think I'm in season 3 or something, and then I just got enough for now. That's a lot. It's actually a lot to watch each of those, all those seasons. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. Well, so next week we've got Dresden news, so we'll be a week behind that, of course, because that's how he likes to release his freaking news right after we record, or when we're off cycle. And then in 2 weeks we'll have another one of these? Are we going to come up with a topic?
Who knows? Who fucking knows?
So,
because then we got pushed back, and then Dresden, and then we can talk about everyone's sense of humor.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Like, yeah, I can't wait to talk about Ghostbusters. So, yeah,
when I showed that list to my friends, they were like, "Whoever put Ghostbusters on there, what a basic bitch move."
Oh, but no, I think it's particularly telling who put it on there too. But yeah, so that'll be fun. It depends on what we got. I don't know how we're gonna get through it all in one episode, but yeah.
I mean,
at least I've seen like 6 out of 10 of these movies already, finally, or something like that. But
yeah. Well,
yep.
Should we end the episode? I gotta jet.
Yep. Everyone's gotta go. So.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.